How's everyone doing today? Today we're going to be going over the homework 3 for Biology 2401, 1201 for Anatomy and Physiology 1. This is going to be over Chapter 7, Section 6, Part 9, which is going to be describing the differences between the male and female skeletons. And maybe as you're looking at this picture, you can start to notice some of those key differences in these areas where my mouse is moving, and I'll delve in deeper into them as we move along. So as we delve into the differences of the male and female skeleton, when talking to most people, the first things they usually like to go straight with is the pelvic size of the male and female skeleton. If you notice, the male skeleton is going to have a narrower and a smaller pelvis compared to women's. One of the key reasons being is that women have to make room in their bodies for gestation and pregnancy, and they have to have a large enough pelvis in order to push a child out when they are going through birth. This is also going to be why they have smaller rib cages. As that fetus develops, it's going to push and move organs in order to make room for it. In the male body, you won't be seeing that. But it's usually one of the first things that people look at in the male and female skeleton. A lesser, less reliable way would be looking at the sciatic notches of the pelvic bone, which you can't see in this image, but men tend to have a narrower curve in their sciatic notch compared to women's. Women's a little bit wider, but like I said, that's a less reliable way because every person is different. Every female and every male is going to be different, so they'll have different sized bones, of course, because you have women that are taller than men and then men that are shorter than women, so things will always be changing and different. But relatively, the other things you'll notice are going to be the long bones of the male and female body. I think these pictures do a little injustice. I think this picture, I made it a little bit too big, but men actually have longer femurs and tibias and humeruses than women do, and they'll also generally be wider and more dense than women's bones. Another thing you can notice are the jaw structures. Men have a more square drop jaw, while women have more rounded jaw lines. As you can see, if you ever look at women, will have a less pronounced jawline compared to a male, generally speaking. So of course there's always going to be differences from person to person. People vary, but generally speaking, you will see these things, and men will also have a bigger frontal bone compared to the women, but their head is actually going to be a little bit bigger around the temporal area compared to the women's. But women's heads are much narrower than a man's. Men's are usually more rounded, especially as you can see back here in the occipital region of the bones. But hopefully that gives some insight and kind of shows you things to look at from when you're looking at bones and trying to identify if they're male or female